10 years ago, everyone wanted to do viral marketing. But after a while, it became clear that it was basically impossible to manufacture virality on demand. And even when it does happen, virality doesn't last. So to promote a product over the long term, you can't rely only on viral marketing. You need to build an audience, or to pay influencers who do have one, or just to run some ads. Spotify Wrapped is a rare exception to this rule. Every year they do the same campaign, and every year they get tens of millions of shares. Spotify Wrapped trends on Twitter and people post memes all over the place. It's good old-fashioned viral marketing, and it works every time. The formula is simple. You get a summary of your year on Spotify in an easily shareable format. Your listening time, favorite artists and songs. Plus a kind of personality test that boils down to musical astrology. And yet, it can't be completely replicated since direct competitors like Apple Music and YouTube Music tried to do the same thing and... Audible, the audiobook platform, has a recap. Even Nintendo has one. But none of those get even close to Spotify Wrapped in terms of impact. One big problem with viral marketing is that people don't want to share marketing campaigns. And yet, Spotify Wrapped is obviously a marketing campaign, obviously designed to be shared, and nobody minds. Well, actually, some people do mind. It does bother people who are on a crusade for privacy. Listen to this quote from Wired magazine.
It's kind of ironic that at the end of every year, people are celebrating the fact that Spotify is spying on them.
Once again, it seems that nobody cares. People think it's fun that Spotify knows so much about them, and far from worrying about their privacy, they want to share this data even more widely on social media. But why? And why don't all the companies that collect the same kind of data like Netflix and YouTube do the same thing? There are 3 reasons why Spotify Wrapped is a hit every year, and the most important, by far, is the third. See what I did there? The first reason is that it's a bit different every year. The core idea remains the same, your favorite artists, songs and genres, plus how many minutes you spent listening. But of course, people listen to different artists and songs every year, which helps to make the campaign repeatable. But the most important aspect is that the same info is packaged differently every time. For example, this year, your favorite genres are showcased in the form of an animated sandwich. Why a sandwich? What does it have to do with anything? I have no idea, but it's different every year, and that's what matters. Usually, even if a company runs a successful viral marketing campaign, it's really hard to reproduce that success. If they do the same thing twice, people get bored and it doesn't go viral again. The second reason it works is that Spotify Wrapped has real personality. The sandwich may be random, but it's a choice that somebody made. So is the neon aesthetic and even the language that they use.
It's hard not to notice the phrases pulled from the TikTok dictionary. You deserve a playlist as long as your skincare routine. You always understood the assignment. If 2021 was a movie, you are the main character. In a year like 2021, even your music gets a vibe check.
It's hard to imagine another big tech platform like Netflix adding a section to their app with such a strong personality. Netflix is just an impersonal app. It's a neutral window that just shows you the content you want to watch. According to an interview with Spotify's creative director published in Variety in 2021, this personality is authentic.
In reality, there were probably 2 copywriters who worked on the entire experience, and this was just their sensibility, their personality coming through. We try to get different writers to work on it every year so that there's a sense of personality and it doesn't feel overly calculated.
Whatever you think of that, with this personality, Spotify is taking a real risk. The risk of not appealing to everyone in the same way. In fact, this year's version features much less TikTok language than 2 years ago, even if the design is still very flashy. But the third reason Spotify Wrapped works is the most important. It's because the content isn't about Spotify, it's about you.
We weren't just talking about ourselves. We were giving people an interesting way to talk about themselves.
Let me just tell you, I'm a very complicated person. Explain this individual who shares their sandwich of musical styles with alien genres like new isolationism. If you're curious, it sounds like this. So it's just basic sleepy time ambient music. I don't know what I was expecting. This comment has the right balance of look at me and ironic detachment. At the same time, we are told, ha, wouldn't it be funny if I were the kind of person who thinks my taste in music is enough to make me a complicated person? And also, still, I'm not one of those normies listening to the Billboard 100. It's this kind of rich narcissistic expression that makes Spotify Wrapped the perfect material to play with on social media. There can be the basic meaning of, look, I listen to really cool music, so I'm a cool person. But much more often, it's meant to be ironic, like, I'm so cool that I listen to uncool music, or even, I'm so cool that I make fun of how cool I am while showing showing you all the cool music I listen to. If you're starting to feel dizzy, let's take some more down-to-earth examples. We have a 3-year-old daughter, so my wife's most played song of the year was Let It Go from Frozen. This fact conveys something important about a parent's daily life, which is that, as Paul Graham put it, to a kid, anything worth doing once is worth doing 50 times. So even if your Spotify Wrapped isn't totally your own, it's still a way of sharing something meaningful about your daily life and of connecting with other parents. And here's some weirder stuff. I can't really go through this whole section about narcissism without showing you my Spotify Wrapped, can I? The thing about my Spotify Wrapped is that of my top 5 most listened to artists, there's only one name I recognize. My most listened to artist of the year is Colosia, and I've literally never in my life seen that string of characters or that logo straight out of Microsoft Paint, because I only listen to music in the background when I'm working. Obviously, this anecdote tells you something about who I am, but it tells you even more about the identity I want to project to you. Haha, look at him, marketing monster, the man who lives and breathes marketing. He doesn't have time to listen to silly little songs. Give him some English breakfast tea and some techno bunker playlist, whatever the fuck that is, and he will whip you a sales page so persuasive he'll give you a stroke. Your list of favorite artists says something about you as a person, but Spotify takes it a step further. They insert their own analysis of who you are as a person. Everything is designed to make you feel unique and to make you look good on social media. Here, for example, Spotify claims that averaging 20 minutes a day of listening to podcasts makes you an exceptional listener. But the greatest part is when rap turns into a horoscope. For example, in 2022, they remixed the Myers-Briggs type indicator that usually gives you a 4-letter personality type like INTJ. So the connoisseur is an FTLC. That is, they always listen to the same artists that are from a long time ago, they play the same songs over and over and listen mainly to popular artists. In other words, they're just listening to the top Beatles songs on loop. But Spotify has a much more flattering description.
You've got tastes that people can get behind. Your music preferences are proven by popularity and time.
Their exact opposite is the adventurer, who is of course described in equally positive terms.
You're a seeker of sound. You venture out into the unknown, searching for fresher artists, deeper cuts, newer tracks, especially gems yet to be found.
In other words, listening to old popular songs shows you have good taste, but listening to new music that nobody knows also shows you have good taste. At least the connoisseur and the adventurer are two different kinds of people. But to make us feel more unique, Spotify had to come up with 16 different profiles. Except that the descriptions are so vague that the adventurer could just as easily have recognized himself as the early adopter, the maverick, the time traveler, the musicologist, the nomad, or the voyager. But it doesn't matter, does it? It's fun and all the labels are flattering anyway. It works thanks to the Barnum effect, which leads people to easily identify with a generic description. In 1948, psychologist Bertram Forer gave his students the results of a personality test and asked them to rate its accuracy. The students saw so much of themselves in his descriptions that the average rating was 4.26 out of 5. The twist was that Forer gave everyone the same description, which contained phrases like,
"You have a great need for other people to like and admire you, yet you have a tendency to be critical of yourself.
and
At times you are extroverted, affable, sociable, while at other times you are introverted, wary, reserved."
Spotify descriptions read a lot like that. For example, the specialist.
You're selective with the music and artists you listen to, but you've got lots of love to go round. Once you decide you like an artist, you're all in.
The aim is to make you feel unique with a description that applies to almost everyone.
This is a particularly shining example of the fact that Spotify's business model is based on surveillance. Spotify has done an amazing job of marketing surveillance as fun and getting people to not only participate in their own surveillance, but celebrate it and share it and brag about it to the world.
By the way, this is the same person who said earlier that Spotify spies on you. And why not in the same way your baker spies on your bread purchases? To speak of surveillance seems excessive in the case of Spotify. But hey, when you're a privacy activist, everything starts to look like a privacy scandal. In fact, people aren't shocked that Spotify remembers what music they listen to, which is a core feature of the service. They even voluntarily share the same data on their Instagram stories. Even worse, some are so excited for their Spotify Wrapped that they ask how long they have to make sure their data will be collected. And they encourage others to hurry up in the last few days to make sure their data will count. It seems that despite the pro-privacy discourse in the media in recent years, most people don't care that much. Apart from a few sensitive categories linked to health, sexuality, and private messages, they don't mind companies having their data, even if they use it to show them personalized advertising. Spotify has gone pretty far with this. In the ads, they boast about collecting their users' personal data. For example, this ad.
Dear person who played Sorry 42 times on Valentine's Day, what did you do?
The ad works on several levels. In one sentence, it tells a story that piques our curiosity. It reminds us of the important role music plays during the most intense moments of our lives. And it highlights Spotify's cheeky personality.
Be as loving as the person who put 48 Ed Sheeran songs on their I Love Gingers playlist.
This one claims that you can understand someone's inner nature by the music they listen to, or in this case, the title of their playlists. And on this poster,
God is a man according to 9 playlists. God is a woman according to 28,802 playlists.
This triggers an instant emotional response, whether you're a feminist or an anti-feminist. Well done. All these ads and the very idea of Spotify Wrapped would have been a bust if people had seen them as a reminder that Spotify is spying and surveilling them. But most people don't care. They're happy to trade their data for personalized recommendations and a musical horoscope. With all this, it's easy to think that Spotify are geniuses who had it all planned from the start. But that's rarely how marketing works. The concept was born in 2013 with the title Year in Review. But the data most prominently featured were Spotify's general statistics, such as the number of playlists created. The personalized part was at the very end, and the format wasn't as optimized for sharing. Over the years, they iterated on the idea. In 2016, they started calling it Wrapped. In 2018, some users had the opportunity to share their Spotify Wrapped with the world by displaying it on Spotify billboards. In 2019, they refined this idea by offering Spotify Wrapped in the form of stories, ready to share. Spotify's creative director explains.
I'm sure we'd all love to sit down and say it was a marketing stroke of genius, but when it was first built, it was a loyalty play. I don't think we had any idea that people would want to share it so much.
That's probably why there is no Netflix Wrapped. The obvious problem is that it would be a bit embarrassing for people to share how many hours they spend watching Netflix. Spotify proudly announces that have listened to the equivalent of 16 days of music non-stop. If Netflix did the same, lots of remote workers would get an awkward phone call from their boss. But more importantly, your Netflix history doesn't have the same horoscope value. You watch Stranger Things, just like everyone else. Congratulations. You can see it in the recommendations. In spite of all their data, Netflix often ends up telling you you'll probably like what's new and what lots of other people like. The platform that comes closest to the winning format is Goodreads, the book-based social network. As with music, people are proud to share the number of pages they've read. You can see the most popular and least popular book you've read in a year, which tells you a lot about a person. But in terms of presentation, Goodreads is, let's just say their design looked like this in 2013, the year they were acquired by Amazon, and in 2023, it looks like this.
They're the same picture.
No neon colors, no personality, and no vertical sharing format. No horoscope features either. Audible would be another good candidate. They have a recap of your stats, but it's boring. There is no personality and no surprises. We have the number of listening days per month and the number of minutes per genre. Kind of lame. And yet, there should be plenty of room for some fun. For example, make a category, the audiobook you dragged out for months but finally managed to finish. Or the opposite, the audiobook you devoured in a few days. They could also steal Goodreads' idea and show the most and least popular audiobook you've listened to in a year. But above all, they should copy Spotify's horoscope feature, with a result like, what kind of reader are you? Surprisingly, seeing how their online services are not always the most cutting edge, Nintendo's version of a recap is one of the best. It has a list of your most played game each month in a format designed to be shared. But here again, we are a long way from what Spotify manages to do with Wrapped. The other missed opportunity in all this is artificial intelligence. I bet you didn't see that one coming. Spotify or someone else should be giving us a totally unique horoscope description thanks to AI. But above all, YouTube should bring back Rewind. YouTube Rewind has a rather tragic history. Initially, it was a highly produced celebration of the platform, and fans loved to look for their favorite YouTubers. Over the years, the platform fragmented. fragmented. There were more and more sub-niches. This made Rewind's mission impossible. People would see Jake Paul and Fortnite and Will Smith and think, this isn't what YouTube is to me. So the last real Rewind in 2018 became the most disliked video in history. YouTube should combine its idea with Spotify's and produce a personalized rewind for each of us. I would love to know the top 5 YouTubers I watch the most, or who is the YouTuber I follow who gains the most new subscribers this year, or even what percentage of videos I watch to the end. I would even like a little horoscope based on the videos I watch. What kind of person does YouTube think I am? I know you know YouTube. Some recommendations are just way too good. Tell me who I am. Speaking of horoscope, I checked mine and it said we'll definitely reach our goal of 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2024. We're already 2% of the way there and the year hasn't even started. Amazing. So if you liked the video, you should subscribe and write in the comments how many subs I have right now. It'll be fun to look back after I make it big. Also, you should go watch my best video. It's called Why is Everyone in Succession bad at business?